Music City, USA. Home of 12 recording studios, 350 publishing houses, 26 record companies. Home of the Country Music Hall of Fame. Home of the world-famous Grand Ole Opry. And hometown of country music's best-loved performers and writers. And now, meet one of your favorite country music personalities as we visit At Home with the Stars. At Home with the Stars, featuring Faron Young, with your host, Jack Brown. At Home with the Stars is brought to you by... You can almost set your watch by the school bus that stops here every weekday at 3:30. The smiling youngsters wave goodbye to their friends, and as they walk down the long driveway, perhaps they're wondering if Daddy is home. Daddy is Faron Young, one of the most exciting and successful of all the country music stars, and who spends 300 days of the year on the road. But today, Daddy is home, and is relaxing and reminiscing with our show's host, Jack Brown. Let's join them.
Faron, I've often heard you addressed and introduced as the young sheriff. Now, that's a pretty interesting title. Just how did you come by that?
Well, you know, Jack, back in 1955, I decided on a motion picture career, or someone else decided it. And we went to Hollywood, California, and I was thinking all the time, boy, am I going to be a big star in the movie, John Wayne, move over. And I was thinking, you know, that going to be a year at least, you know, shooting this film, and within 8 days we had it shot. It was over with. But I played the part of a young sheriff in it. And back in the early days, I guess it started with Roy Acuff and some of the other stars. They always had a moniker, like Roy Acuff and the Smoky Mountain Boys, and there's Ernest Tubb, the Texas Troubadours. So we decided it was time we had a name. And we had run a contest, and about 50,000 people wrote in to it. And we finally come up with the name Faron Young, the Young Sheriff, and the Country Deputies. This has been 15 or 16 years ago. Since that time, I've dropped the part, the young sheriff, and we say the singing sheriff now. So. But it really came from the movie. And I gave the people who wanted, they live up in South Dakota, I gave them a trip to Nashville and was our guest here at the Grand Ole Opry in Nashville, Tennessee.
I've read that your singing career began in Shreveport, Louisiana.
Right. I started, well, I was raised on a dairy farm in Shreveport, and...
Did you have to get up in the morning and milk the cows?
I certainly did, for 10 years, Jack. I got up there, I had 35 head of cattle to milk, and we milked those, catch a school bus, go to school.
Right.
Come back in, milk them, get your lessons, go to bed. This went on for 10 years, because I didn't know any better at the time. And I'd like to add, too, if anybody gave me 10,000 head of cattle, and I had to milk them, I wouldn't accept them. I wouldn't accept it. But I started off in high school singing pop music in Shreveport, and then at this time, the late Hank Williams, back when he was first started off, and he was the biggest star in the business, he came out with a record called Love Sick Blues, and I went to Louisiana Hayride to see him. And I fell in love with this man's voice, like millions of people have.
Yes. And
he became my idol, and I decided then I'd change and start singing country music. So we got a little band together in high school. I think I was a senior then. Then I went from that to Webb Pierce's band. Webb was just starting off in Shreveport himself. He was working over the department store, and then singing on an early morning show and working various clubs around Louisiana at the time. I went to work with him as his relief singer.
You were on the Louisiana Hayride for a while, too, weren't you?
Well, yeah, I went on there as a part of Webb's group. And then I got on a record label called Gotham Records. They give me, I don't know, $25 or $30, and I cut a song. And I never got any more money for it. That was a big deal back then. But then I got on the Hayride as a singer, and I left Webb's band. I carried and Webb started up as a single, really. And so I took the band. I had Floyd Kramer on the piano, Jimmy Day on the steel guitar. We had a real fine band. And we went to traveling around, and Capitol Records signed me back in 1950.
1950.
Right, and the first record we had with them was called Have I Waited Too Long and Tattletale Tears.
Right.
Which is a pretty good-sized record for us. Incidentally, it was that tune that brought me to the opera, to the Grand Ole Opry in Nashville. They called and said, we want to see if we can take this star and build him. I mean, this wasn't a star, this boy, and build him into a star. So I came up to Nashville on a 2-week trial. Spent 14 years on a 2-week trial with the Grand Ole Opry.
What you call a held-over performance. Yeah,
I was held over. I think the reason they held me over, no one the thing was so big, I went unnoticed as far as they were concerned.
No, that's not true.
But our next record was a thing called Going Steady, and it became the #1 record in the nation.
You were enjoying the success as a very young man.
Yes, and very unexperienced, and yet so proud and so happy to have made it at this early age, where so many stars really don't. Most of the guys make it after they're in their 30s, and I was very fortunate to get this early start, all except for one thing, which I found out later became a blessing to me. About the time I got this record out, Going Steady, it was #1, I got a telegram. It says, "Greetings."
Greetings. I wonder who that was from.
It said the President of the United States. I'm not too sure who it was from. But I found myself in an Uncle Sam suit and a very disheartened young fella. But anyway, it kind of broke my heart. But here I have a #1 record, just getting rolling and having to go in the Army. But it turned out really as a blessing for me.
What happened?
Well, the first thing they did was took us down, cut all our hair off, and give us an Army suit, a set of fatigues, which never fit. And I went into basic training. And I might say that if they would have let me went all the way, say it was during the Korean War, if I'd have went, we'd have definitely lost. I can tell you, I didn't believe that I was going to ever have to fight anybody, so naturally I never did try to learn. I'd sit around playing on my guitar and try to write songs.
They didn't take that away from you, huh?
My guitar?
Yeah.
No, they let
kept
you
that
keep
with
it.
you.
Well, I kept it hid, really. You wasn't really supposed to have it. But I went through basic, and then they had a show in New York called Town Patrol, and a bunch of the brass came around. They were listening to different entertainers, and I got on the show. Went to New York and won it. Won first place on the show. And it kind of made the people in Washington, D.C. look around a little bit, and they wondered, well, this country music singing, and up to this point they had never used country music for recruiting for the Army. Always used some pop singers and jazz and stuff. Eddie Fisher was just getting out of the service when I came in, and he'd been doing all the recruiting programs for the service. So they tried it with me. We went on 2,000 radio stations a week.
My goodness.
So I was the first country singer to really ever do recruiting shows. They took us to Atlanta, Georgia, put a big show around us. We had tap dancers, we had jazz musicians, we had an opera singer, and we were the stars of the show, the Hillbillies, you know, which didn't set too well with that opera singer. But I never will forget it. This guy, one day I had bought a new Cadillac off some of my royalties, and I was driving through Fort McPherson, and it was raining. And I pushed the electric button on the window and let it down. I said, "Hello, how you doing?" He said, "Ah, you hillbillies, you hillbillies." And I said, "Well, I'm not walking in the rain." I pushed the button, put the window back up. But we got a show together, and we traveled all the bases around the United States entertaining troops. Was in special service, but don't never let this thing fool you. Special service is a joke. There's nothing special about it at all. We worked harder than anybody in the service except the poor guy on the front line, you know, or over freezing to death in snow. But I stayed in the Army 2 years and had 9 days off. Because when everybody else goes home for Christmas or the holidays, we were in the hospital working 8 and 10 shows a day.
Did you travel all over the world?
No, while I was in the service, we traveled around the States. And then
The bases in the States?
Right, and then we'd go to, and I mean that was Army, Navy, Air Force, anybody. And then we'd go to New York and cut these shows that were played on all the stations. And finally, they built us a studio in Atlanta, Georgia, to save on the traveling.
Mm-hmm.
It was costing them about $500 or $600 sent us to New York, so they, instead to save the money, the United States government put a $200,000 studio in for us. Really saved a lot of money, yeah. But I had a wonderful career in the Army, and like I say, it turned out to be a blessing for me. I tried to stay at PFC in the Army, and I got to naturally be friends with the general, who was a big Hillbillies fan at the time. He's passed away now, General A.R. Bowling. And he loved country music. And he told me once, he said, "You know, you ought to be a corporal." I said, "No, sir, I don't want to be a corporal." So about 2 or 3 months later, he said, "Son, you ought to become a corporal." I said, "No, I'll stay PFC. It looks better because people on the outside and me and entertain, they think, yeah, you know."
Special consideration.
Yeah. So a couple of more months later, he said, "If you don't take this, your fans are going to think you're pretty stupid. Everybody else is making corporal but you." So I said, "Okay, I'd like to be a corporal." And the next day, he called me over to his office and made me a corporal. And I got married in the Army, too. And right after I got married, I had about maybe 2 months to go. And I said, "I'd just like to be a sergeant before I get out." So I mentioned it to the general one day. I said, "You know, I ought to be a sergeant before I get." He said, "Why, you certainly should." The next day, I was a sergeant, yeah. I had a wonderful career in the Army. I had a lot of guys. Gordon Terry was in the service with me, and A lot of the other fellows have went on to their own claims to fame that we worked with. And I guess, Jack, I'm like a lot of guys about the service. You know, I wouldn't give a nickel to do it over again, but I wouldn't take $1 million for what I learned.
I guess getting out of the service gave you an opportunity to put your career in high gear.
Well, Jack, we came back, and I had a #1 record when I came out of the service called If You Ain't Loving, You Ain't Living.
It's a good one.
And I hired the Wilburn Brothers and another band put together, and we did just about what I'm doing now, just traveling around and carrying shows on the road. And, you know, and I still have a band, and I believe I've always had a band because I think it's important. I think the people who pay money to see you reserve the right to hear you sound like you do on your records. So I've always carried a band with me. It's a lot of expense involved, but it pays for itself in the long run, really.
You're a man of many hits. Just how many have you had?
Well, up to this date, we've had 51 top 10 records.
Good grief.
And we've had 2 or 3 million record sellers. But I tell you, before we go any further than this, I'd like for you to step in the kitchen maybe and meet my wife. We'll have a cup of coffee or something. Will that be all right with you?
My pleasure.
All right.
We'll be meeting Hilda Young in just a moment. Please stay with us. Hilda, that was delicious coffee. Thank you very much.
Oh, you're quite welcome.
Hey, you know, Hilda's a pretty good coffee maker. But she's making what I like the best right now, a good orange cake. You just had a piece of it.
It's delicious.
Yes, it is. Hilda, well, you can tell him what goes in it. I don't really know.
Oh, it's such a long list. I believe it would take too long. But it
It has
does.
oranges in it.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Lots of orange rind, which is a little tedious.
Yes.
You know, Hilda comes from over in Germany.
Is that right?
With this southern accent, of course, she learned how to speak English in Texas, wasn't it?
Yes.
How
Campbell,
old?
Texas.
Campbell, Texas.
Were you born in Germany?
Uh-huh, in Berlin.
Came over right after the war. She's a pretty good cook. She cooks pretty good German meals. Some of them I can't eat. She loves it. So. But I'm kind of, you know, I'm a black-eyed pea man myself.
Hog jaw.
Yeah, hog jaw, steak, or banana puddings, and she does a good job at that.
Oh, thank you.
Well, I hear this house of yours is 100 yards long.
Yeah, where Hilda really comes in handy. When I leave something on one end of it, I run her around the other
I bet
side.
y'all put on roller skates to go from room to room, don't you? You think we could see some of it?
Well, sure. And you're talking about it being as long as a football field. I'll tell you what, I'll start you off over here on about the 10-yard line from the
Good.
other side.
Other end of the field.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Now, right here, Jack, is my dressing area. I have a steam cabinet over in the corner. French telephone I call de Gaulle with in case I'm not getting enough steam over to the cabinet. And this makes it pretty nice because you have some privacy for your dressing room.
Very
and all.
nice.
I have a TV I usually keep in there. It's not in at the time. And right here is my wife's dressing area.
Good night. Look at that. Beautiful.
I guess all women have a vice, and hers is shoes. I want to show you some shoes. Isn't that pretty, all the mirrors and all?
Lovely.
There they are. That's her biggest vice. She must have about 1,000 pair of shoes. So she goes shopping an awful lot, so I guess she needs them. She likes to walk. She really doesn't buy anything but more shoes. And right here is something of the old days. I used to wear all this loud, gaudy
You don't wear them now?
uniforms. Not too much. I do just when the occasion really calls for it. I dress pretty much more with the continental western type thing now.
A lot of country music stars are still wearing them, aren't they?
Yes, they do. These things are very, very expensive. They're very heavy and they're very hot, too, is one reason I'm glad I don't wear them. Come on up through here. I'll show you. This is our bedroom. And I was telling you a moment ago about the halls in the house, and the house being about 100 yards long. You can see why by looking at this
Yes.
hallway. Because up on the right are more bedrooms and dressing area and one
Oh,
thing
here's
and
another one.
Yeah, this is one of the front halls. Now, just a minute, I think I hear some music.
Yes,
Come on in, I want, because the boys have been rehearsing. We use our living room now. So come on in here with me. Hold it. Jack, I want you to meet my 10-year-old boy. This is Robin. Robin and Jack.
Glad to meet you.
Hit him a couple licks on the guitar there, son. Hold it. That's enough. 2 notes is enough. Ain't that something? My daddy spends $500 I made singing country music, and they play rock and roll. Come here, Jack. I'd like for you to meet another member of the family. This is Damien. Damien, say hello to Jack.
Glad to meet you, Jack.
Glad to meet you, Damien.
How about hitting a couple of licks on your drum? Hold it. There's something Roy Acuff made famous 40 years
I
ago.
thought I recognized it.
Come sit down with me over here, Jack. Hold it, son. Hold it. I've had all that I him stand.
Well, Faron, we've been in almost every room of your beautiful home here, but I'm surprised that I haven't seen some of the many awards that you've won up on the walls.
Well, you know, Jack, I try to keep my home life here and my professional life kind of separated. In fact, we don't even have a tape recorder in the home or a record player that don't belong to one of the boys back in the kids' room. But we have happen to have my projector here. Well, hi there.
Oh, look who's here.
What are you doing?
Come on in.
Come in and see me. What do you want? What do you want? Oh, peanuts. Oh, okay.
There you go.
Okay.
You want to stand right down there? This is the reason I don't bring my music home. I won't have time to spend any time with him, right?
That's right.
And the rest of the group. But like I said, I just happen to have my projector ready over here. And I've got my awards on it.
It's all loaded up, too?
All loaded
Ready
up.
to go?
All ready to go. And I also have some scenes of some of my movies in here.
Good.
And this is some of the home stuff we shot out there, so if you'd like to take a look at it. Let me get the rest of the family in. Come on in, Davy, Robin, Hilda, y'all come over and sit down.
Buddy.
I'll show you some of the things we got on tape here on the movie film. Hey, Davy, get up and help me turn off the lights, son, will you? So we can get everything started over here. Everybody ready? Okay.
Ready.
Here we go. You want to see Daddy in some movies? All right, here we go.
Can I get some?
Oh, we got them all, fair enough. Now, this is the outside of my building, right off of 16th Avenue and Music Row. And this is coming on into my office.
Read the
And there,
newspaper there.
yes, sir, there's the king sitting there on his little throne. This is my secretary, Johnny. He's probably got another call from Will Pierce wanting to borrow money. Yeah.
Does he call very often?
Well, this is when he needs money, as a rule. Let's see who this is. This is, oh, it's probably Roy Acuff now, wanting to know what to cut for his next hit. These are a few of the awards we picked up over the year. I don't have all of them up. I don't have enough room to hang them all up. This is one Lady Bird Johnson gave me for doing a campaign tour with her.
The railroad spike?
Railroad Spike. This is the invitation to the inauguration of Lyndon Baines Johnson. This is my big award for Hello Walls, our biggest song in the music business. And here's a Naris Award for Hello Walls. This is one I'm really proud of. Here's a picture from the Thunderbirds, the world-famous Thunderbirds. They gave this to me when I was over in Germany. And right here, they made me a Kentucky colonel. This is where Colonel Tom Parker has to call me a colonel. And this is one of our great American heroes, Pete Conrad. He's one of the great astronauts. You want to know if my stock car's got run at the Phantom jet, he's sitting in there. A great guy. I visit with him quite often. He's got a wonderful family. He's a great person. These are some more BMI awards we've won for songs over the years, 3 Days, and Backtrack. We've got probably 25 or 30 of these, and several of them that I don't have hanging on the wall. This was a medal given to me when I was in the Army, commendation medal. Here's Marty Robbins wanting to know if his next song's going to be a hit. This is across the hall from my place, Music City News, and a couple of secretaries worked for us over there in that area. And that little girl just walked in. That's Dixie Dean. She's one of my writers, a real good writer, too. They work real hard getting this paper out, and we go over to 37 foreign countries, and we're in 50 states with it. We've got about 250,000 readers to it. It's kind of the musical Bible out of Nashville. Webb Pierce again wanting more money. And this is a little publishing company I have in the building called Court of Kings. And this is my friend Don Jose. He runs this for me. Needless to say, we get millions and millions of songs come in there over the years, and he has to sit and listen to them, figure out which one's good and which one's bad, and we can play them too. Yep, that might be one of the hits that he's playing now. Handsome devil, isn't he? This thing has no significance outside. It's just the first song that was published in my company. All I Can Stand, written by Leon Ashton, the fellow who wrote Laura.
He's done all right.
Yeah. Carl Smith wanting to know if I want to buy his ranch. Back to my newspaper, huh? Now here's some scenes we took out west. Well, this is actually down in Mexico, not out west. Al Ganaway there with me. He was the first guy to come to Nashville to cut Grand Ole Opry television shows. Some of the crew. This is a scene where we went to get the settlers away from the Indians.
Is this the Daniel Boone movie?
Yeah, Daniel Boone. And that's me with right there with a little three-cornered hat on. I didn't win any Academy Awards for this. This is a fight scene. This is the one movie where the Indians almost won. Here they come. Yippee! Holy mackerel, where did all the Indians come from? This is a scene I'm not really in. I was just playing the guitar with these kids as they sang after we freed them from the Indians. They're singing. Right here where you can see it, don't fool around with the young sheriff, Faron young. This is the powder room right behind us. Not the ladies' room, the powder room. And I take the torch. I got a friend whip on the fence, needs a light for a cigarette. Throwed it up to him. There's a real case of heartburn.
Oh.
These are some scenes in Mexico City. Everywhere you look, there's a big fountain on every corner. This is where they hold the Olympics out by the college. And this is the bullfights. As you can see, the bull has a pretty good shot. I took all this film and trying to see here.
Those guys earn their money, don't they?
And as I say, the bull just about always wins. Just about always. This is out west here. Yeah,
Is this a different movie?
Yeah, this is another movie we made out in Kanab, Utah. There's Webb and me. Webb sitting on a hobby horse. I'm on a real one. Carl Smith,
Yeah.
the poor man's thin man. There's Marty Robbins here doing his act. See, they knock him off the cliff right here. Yeah, there he goes. Hi, Marty. Ain't he tough? You can tell it really hurt him. Now, how you feel, Marty? Look at me. How do you feel? This is me doing a little of my handiwork here with a gun.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
I used to cut. I can't handle them too much anymore. I used to do two of them and swirl them around one with another. And I died about like the movie we made did right there. This is over in Hawaii.
Beautiful.
See Diamond Head. You can tell I'm not too good a camera with the way I pan so quick, but the color's pretty anyway. That's the Pacific Ocean. And
How many times you been over there?
we've been over 3 or 4 times now. This is the hula dance. They give these every day hula lesson. This is my band there. There's a picture of Hilda when she was younger. And right here, some of the local island beauties. As you can see, there's first place right here. There's runner-up on the right. Yeah, there she is. This is a friend of ours here. This is Bob Smith's wife. They're the people who brought us over. And the fella in the middle there, it's Rock Hudson, as you can probably tell.
Right.
On the left is Hilda. Hilda, you look good there.
My tea timers.
Tea timers. Well, there comes old teetotaler there. Aloha Airlines, you know they just fly inter-island. Here's Jerry Reed. Great guy. This is back before Jerry really got a good start in the business. He's doing very well for himself now.
Certainly is.
And here's the late and great Patsy CLiNE coming over to join our tour. Really missed in our business. Everybody loved her so much. Pearl and Husky kissed her hello, and that's Bob Smith. We were really happy to have her. She came over and
Happy
spent.
times.
Oh yeah, she spent about 7 or 8 days in Hawaii with us and sang for the troops. As always, did a great job. Here's Jerry trying to learn that guitar picking man song again.
He's been at that for several years.
Several years. Finally made it. Yeah. This is looking out over the pool behind the motel, out over the Pacific Ocean again. Beautiful, beautiful color, beautiful view. Who is that?
Hilda in her thinner days, I believe.
Well, that's back when you really looked good. Right there's Hubert Long.
Hilda in his fatter days.
There's Rock Hudson again. Look at that cigarette on my foot. I tell you, this is really living, though. This got to be the
Like I
greatest
said.
thing in the world. Yeah, here's Pearl and Husky. We were on the tour over at the time. This is Cheetah.
This morning exercise.
Yeah. Here I am running up and down the sand. I couldn't do this again. I don't believe I'd run out of breath if I had to run this much. Here I am imitating Furlan. Anything he did, I had to. I told Jerry that pineapple juice had something else in it. Yay! Oh, thank you. Maybe get up and turn on some of the lights there for us. My best fans.
Well, your best fans, but certainly not your only fans.
Well, thank you very much.
What a pleasure it's been visiting with you and Hilda today. Thanks for having us.
Well, it's been real nice having you visit with us, Jack, and we hope to be getting a chance for you and the camera crew and everybody to come out back to our home again and visit with us. It's been, of course, we never get a chance to do this too often, and it's quite an honor to us, too. I always want to thank you for taking the time and giving us a chance to show all the wonderful fans out there. It's part of the inside of my life.
Good. An interesting personality.
Thank you very much, Jack.
In this film here, you know, we had something...
At Home with the Stars has been brought to you by